this week's Technique Tuesday. So I'm going to be talking about the knot that I like to use to connect braid to a fluorocarbon leader, and that is the FG knot. There's a lot of tests that have been done to prove that this is a very strong knot, if not the strongest knot available to us to use in this application, and it's a really small and it's going to come through your guides really well and not hang up on things. So a few things that you're going to need to tie this knot. Obviously, start off with a rod. So I've got my King Angler spinning rod here with a 30-pound braid on it. And then I've got my 12-pound fluorocarbon line. Then I'm going to need a pair of clippers, and I'll show you why I need to use clippers in the, part of this versus a pair of scissors. And then I'm going to use scissors to cut that braid. So let's go ahead and jump into how I tie this knot. Okay, to be all set up to tie this knot, I need to have the braid coming back towards me. Now in my kayak, I typically have a rod holder on my left-hand side with the rod pointed out away from me, and then I bring the braid back to me. And I keep the tension on it that way. In this case, I have a rod out in front of me, leaned up against this box coming back to me, and I'm have the braid coming back so I can keep that tension on as I wrap the fluorocarbon around it. So I'm going to place the braid in my mouth so I can keep that tension on it and use both of my hands to tie the knot. So, got my teeth on, pull that fluorocarbon tight there, or sorry, the braid tight. And then I like to bring the fluorocarbon in from the left-hand side, and I have it come up over the top of the braid with a few inches coming out over to the right-hand side here. Then I'm going to kind of pinch that down with my left hand. Use my right hand to go underneath the braid away from me, and then back over the top, and I've got my first loop on there. Then I'm going to bring it towards me and underneath, and I got my second. And I'm going to keep doing that back and forth away from me and towards me. Going to continue to do that 20 to 30 times, each time making sure that I am cinching, not really cinching, but kind of bringing that loop that I just put on the fluorocarbon and braid kind of mixed together down up against the other ones, so I have a nice tight wrap with no spaces between the braid, because that's going to offer the protection to the fluorocarbon on this knot. The other thing you'll notice is I'm putting this together, the braid that's being wrapped in this around the fluorocarbon is going out to my left hand side. So you end up with kind of a T over the braid coming from the rod up to my mouth. That's the top of the T. And then you have braid that's being brought down the fluorocarbon out to what will be where the lure gets tied onto. All right, so you kind of have that tightened up there. I'm going to pinch that down. And then I'm going to take this tag end of the braid and I'm going to wrap it around both the fluorocarbon and the braid that is going back to my rod, and I'm going to tie a half hitch into that. Okay, and then I cinch that down against the braid wraps right there, and I'm going to do one more of those. And there you go, around both of them. Just pull it down tight a little bit. And then I like to pull the fluorocarbon and the braid, just make sure the braid's kind of cinched into that fluorocarbon, right? Because it's wrapped around, it's digging into the fluorocarbon when you pull it up tight like that. So now we've got two ends, tag ends. We've got the fluorocarbon tag and we've got the braid. We're going to take care of the fluorocarbon one first. So I use the clippers here because I want to get that nice and tied up against that braid and clip that off. And it's right in there. Now you have a little bit kind of showing there. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the braid to half hitch again and kind of protect that in there where it's the fluorocarbon showing just a little bit. And the other thing that'll do is that'll smooth that up, and you got a really tight knot here, right? See how smooth that is? It's going to go right through your guides. So need the tag, to cut this tag in here, it's a little bit too, a lot too long. So get a pair of scissors here, and I'm going to cut, I don't cut this one all the way up against it, right? I'm just leaving, maybe 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, something like that here, and cut that off. And you end up with just a little bit of tag hanging out there. It's no big deal. Not going to get in the way or anything. You won't even know. It'll start to kind of, fray out. But that's a totally protected fluorocarbon area, and so you're not going to get any issues there. You don't have any bumps or anything in this knot that are going to get hung up in your guides. Really small, really tight, right? Nothing's going to happen with that. And in my opinion, this is the best knot for attaching your leader to your braid.